Hi there, thanks for joining me for a 5-day meal plan and prep. My name is Leanne, if you haven't seen me before on YouTube, so hello. I am a vegan trying to follow the Slimming World plan, so this video is a 5-day vegan meal prep. It is following the Slimming World plan in terms of I have worked out the sin values for you, but you know, you don't have to be on Slimming World to follow this plan, and you don't have to be vegan either. Now, what I have done for the lunches and dinners is I've actually followed some recipes from the Bosch Healthy Vegan book. I really like to pick a few recipes from one recipe book when I'm making a meal plan, and it just makes life a little bit easier. Then I go through it, I adapt the recipes to make it so that they are Slimming World friendly, and if it's not a vegan cookbook, obviously I adapt them to make them vegan as well. In this case, obviously it is a vegan cookbook. So here is this week's meal plan. Now, because I am meal prepping, so today is my day one, then I'm going to show you how to sort of optimize prepping these meals, but I will just include what I've done with the recipes in the PDF that I will link in the description. The first thing to start preparing is the Bakewell Oat Muffins. They're not really muffins, it's baked oats or baked oatmeal, baked porridge, however you want to call it. What makes it Bakewell flavour is almond butter and raspberry jam. This is essentially where the sins are going to come in, but they're not a lot. It's going to work out at 4.5 sins per serving per day. So you also have the choice whether to use smooth or crunchy almond butter. I tend to keep both in, same with peanut butter, because you know they have different purposes. For this recipe though, I am going to be using crunchy because I want that bit of texture in there. First things first, pop 200 grams of oats in a mixing bowl. Add in 1 teaspoon each of baking powder and cinnamon. Then add about 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt or a large pinch. And give all this a good mix together. Then add in 250 ml of unsweetened almond milk or a milk of your choice. Add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Give everything a really good stir. When you're happy, everything is really well combined, add the other 125 ml of milk. Stir it really, really well again. And then we're just going to pop it aside for about 5 minutes just to sit and soak up some of that milk. Whilst your oats are soaking, we're going to prepare the kind of swirl that's going to go through them and just make them that little bit special. So you're going to combine 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. To that, add 5 teaspoons of your almond butter. You can absolutely use peanut butter if you don't have almond or can't get hold of it, but I would recommend almond just because I was going for that with the whole Bakewell theme. And a top tip, if your almond butter is a natural one like mine and it's separated with the oil, use a fork to really get in there and break it up first, and it will help you no end. Then you just want to try and mix these together as best you can. They will combine after a while. I will switch to a proper teaspoon in a moment, but I like to try and get the rest of the almond butter off of the teaspoon measurer. Next up, give your teaspoon a little rinse and measure out 5 teaspoons of raspberry jam into a little pot or something. Now, this is optional. You could skip this step and just do it straight from the jar in a moment, but this will make it a little easier for you, and I'm all about making life easy, so I'm just going to do mine now. The final step, just to start getting yourself prepared, is just to spray the muffin tin with some Fry Light. This is optional. It depends if you've got a non-stick one or not. Mine is a pretty good non-stick one, but I'm still going to put a little spray in 10 of the moulds, not all 12, so I'll just do the outside ones, just in case, so I just don't want them to stick. If you're one of my regular viewers, you'll know that I advocate wiping down any areas that are not going to have food on them that have been sprayed with Fry Light. Just wipe them down with a bit of damp kitchen roll or something, and that's why my tray is looking quite decent right now, because I've done that. Fry Light can go a little bit funny if it's kind of baked on a tray with, you know, nothing on it. So just to try and make your baking equipment last a little longer. Okay, so as we're prepping everything for the oven in one go, the next thing we're going to do is make our barbecue marinade for our mushrooms. And here's my mushrooms ready to go in a moment. But this is everything you need for the marinade. We've got barbecue sauce. Mine is roasted onion, but you can use any barbecue sauce you like. Generally, it's about 1 sin per tablespoon, and that's the sin value that I've based my calculations on. You're also going to need cayenne pepper, smoked paprika, and garlic and onion granules. Add 1 teaspoon each of garlic and onion granules to your little dish, along with about half a teaspoon of cayenne, but this doesn't have to be exact. This is going to depend how spicy you like your food. Lastly, it's 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, and then just mix these spices together really well so they're well combined. Lastly, we want to add 4 tablespoons of your barbecue sauce, mix it all together really well. I've now chopped up my mushrooms. I did first wipe them over with a damp piece of kitchen roll, just because they were quite mucky. So in total I've used 4 large portobello mushrooms, and I've also used a pack of baby chestnut mushrooms, just for that variety. The chestnut mushrooms I'm keeping whole, and the portobellos I've sliced into about 5 thick slices each. Now I have my barbecue sauce mixture ready to mix through them, but before I do that, I'm just going to chop up the last thing for the oven, which is a butternut squash. Okay, butternut squash, peeled, de-seeded, chopped, sprayed with fry light, ready to go. The mushrooms, as you can see, basically you just want to mix that barbecue marinade all over them as much as possible, and I would recommend using your hands for this. Yeah, it's messy, yeah, you'll be covered, yeah, you'll have to turn the tap on with your elbow, but it's the most efficient way to get them all covered. And then I've also just sprayed those with a little bit of fry light as well. So these 2 trays I'm going to put in the oven, and we're going to get our oatmeal cups in as well. Okay, so just to make sure I'm evenly portioning them, I'm just going to use my little 1/4 cup measurer just to scoop it and put them in each little mould. I don't know what you call them, muffin hole. Yeah, and then I'll sort of portion out the rest if there's anything left over. Well, not to brag, but that worked perfectly. I had to do a tiny bit of redistribution at the end, but overall I would suggest using your 1/4 cup measurer because that worked well. And now, as you probably guessed, what we're going to do is make a little swirl in the top of each one with some of the jam and the almond maple mix. Now the jam, of course, we know that in total we have 5 teaspoons. We're using 10 muffin holders. So if you use your ½ teaspoon measurer for the jam, then that should work out fairly perfectly. All right, so the way I've done mine is just to put the jam on one side, and I kind of put the almond butter mixture on the other. Obviously it's quite runny, and then I'm just going to attempt to use the end of a teaspoon just to kind of swirl it in a little bit. The point is that we don't want it too broken up because you want to find little pockets of the flavours in there. It's not going to look pretty, but that's fine, it should taste good. Gotta love that realisation when you realise that your oven isn't big enough for the 2 baking trays and the muffin tin, but hey ho. All right, next up we're going to carry on with the lunch prep. So basically we're doing boiling things right now. So I'm cooking up 2 portions of rice for lunches. I say 2 lunch portions because my lunch portions tend to be not as large on carbs as my dinner portions. But, you know, you do you, because you know, I eat lots more than lots of people, and you know, I'm sure there are some people who eat more than me, so you know, everyone is different, which is why I haven't put exact measurements on these things. So just cook enough rice for 2 lunch portions for you. I'm using brown basmati. And cook enough baby potatoes, new potatoes if they're in season when you're watching this video, but as the time of release they are not. So baby potatoes, and again cook enough for 3 lunch portions for you. Okay, while all that's boiling, we're going to start preparing the potato salad for the mushrooms and potato salad. Obviously we've got the mushrooms cooking, we've got the potatoes boiling, so it's really just the sort of base mix now. And you just need ½ a pack of parsley, 1 pack of chives. These are normally about 30 grams. no idea, where does it say? 20 grams of chives, about 15 grams of parsley, the juice and zest of 1 lemon, half a bunch of spring onions, 1 tin of chickpeas, and some romaine lettuce and white wine vinegar. And I'm sort of making this semi-indulgent but not. So we're using 1 tablespoon of vegan mayo, but we're going to mix it with 4 tablespoons of the Alpro plain no sugars yogurt just to sort of cut it through and make it go further. And then the romaine lettuce, basically we're using this on 3 lunches, and you have the shredded lettuce with on the side of the potato salad and the mushrooms. So it's up to you if you want to cut up your lettuce now or if you want to do it on the day. I'm going to do mine on the day, so I'm just going to chop up 1 because I am actually going to have 1 for my lunch today. Okay, so this is the part where, you know, everything can kind of start to look like it's stacking up, but it's really not, and it's actually coming together very well. Over here, I've got my rice, which I've now drained and added a drained tin of black beans to. So I just tend to sit them over a saucepan. Obviously, this hob is now not hot anymore, and just let it drain out, as you can see. So that just keeps it out of the way nicely. My butternut is roasted. My my mushrooms, my barbecue mushrooms for lunches, they're done. They're looking really kind of toothsome and gorgeous, so looking forward to those. The breakfast cups are done. They're all sunk, but that's okay. It's not about looks, it's about taste. And then over here I've made the base for the potato salad. So basically that's all the ingredients except the barbecue mushrooms and the potatoes and the lettuce and the lemon. So it's the mayonnaise, yogurt, lemon juice, lemon zest of 1 lemon, white wine vinegar, chives, parsley, chickpeas, salt and pepper, and that's all just combined in there. And then I'm going to add the potatoes once they've finished cooling. They're in a colander on the other side. I've also got my 1 romaine lettuce chopped up here because I'm going to have this for lunch today. This is day 1 for me. Here I've got my kind of salsa salad mix for my jerk tofu. That's for days 2 and 4. So this is a red pepper, 2 tomatoes, a mango, the other half of the bunch of spring onions, 1 pack of coriander, the juice of 1 lime, and 1 chili de-seeded. And I'm going to pop some salt and pepper in there. And we're coming on nicely, so there's not that much left to do at this point. So for lunches on days 1, 3 and 5, you've got the barbecue mushrooms with the potato, chickpea, herbie salad, and your romaine lettuce underneath. And then you just want to serve it each day with 2 lemon wedges. So this is from the second lemon, and you can just squeeze the wedges over when it's ready to serve. Just chop that lemon into 6 and store the wedges. Nice and easy. At this point, I'd suggest plating up everything that you have prepared so far. So that should be the potato salad with the barbecue mushrooms. You can pop the 2 portions of that in pots. You can put the rice and beans along with the salsa kind of salad in pots, but they haven't got the tofu there yet. And you can pop the breakfast muffin oatmeal cup things into another pot. I'd suggest leaving them to fully cool in the muffin tin, and then they should just pop out really easily just using a dessert spoon. And this is basically what it should look like at this juncture, although unless you've had your first portobello and potato salad for lunch, then you will have 3 of these. This is also the point where it's a really good break point just to get some washing up done if you need to. I know that's what I'm about to do, and then we can carry on. Honestly, it's really simple from here on out. All we need to do now is just make the bolognese, which is just a case of throwing everything together and letting it simmer. We're going to make the curry, which again, I'm on day 1, so I'm having that for dinner tonight, so that's no problem. And we need to do the jerk tofu for the rice and bean and salsa. Now, the tofu, I'm going to use my air fryer, but I appreciate that not everyone has one, so you're more than welcome to cook this in the way that you would prefer. If you want to do it in the oven, maybe just do it at the beginning when you've got the oven on for everything else. That would probably be the easiest way. But that's really it. It's very, very simple. For the tofu, I'm using Tofu smoked because it's my favourite tofu, but again, you can use any. Just bear in mind that Tofu, as far as I know, are the only ones that pre-press their tofu. So if you use any other type of firm tofu, then you're going to need to press it first to get the maximum texture from it. If, like me, you are going to air fry your tofu at this point, then you can do this now. But like I said, do this earlier in the stage if you need to use the oven, just so that you've got everything in the oven at the same time. Now, what you need here is a jerk seasoning. Unfortunately, I did not realise that I had run out, and also that my local shop did not sell what I wanted. So I've got a close as I could get thing, which is a Caribbean style seasoning. It's got the right things, which the key things you want to look for are like allspice and things like star anise, bay leaf, yeah. So it's similar, but it's not going to be as spicy. It does have some chilies in here. It's got habanero, but it's the last ingredient. So yeah, not quite jerk, but not miles off it. It's more of a curry powder, this one, really, but still. Anyway, you want to use the amount that you like, because if yours is really spicy and you don't like spicy food, then you're going to want to use a bit less. And of course, if you do like spicy food, then use a bit more. Just do it according to what you like. That is the best advice I can give you, because everyone has different tastes. And as you can see, this very quickly will stick to the tofu. You just need to find a suitable bowl. And then I'm just going to pop this in my air fryer, which I have already lined with a liner, because I like to use a liner. If you choose to use a liner, then just make sure that you always have food on there. Don't ever leave it in there and turn the air fryer on without food on it, weighting it down, because it will get sucked up and cause an issue. But apart from that, it's fine to use. And it won't stop it needing to be cleaned. It just helps stop things sticking to it. So here we go. That is my tofu, just sort of spread out, and I'm going to pop that in on 200 for 10 minutes. If you're doing this in the oven, I would suggest putting it on 200 for 30 minutes. Right, my tofu is done, and it may not look it, but it is actually crispy. Yum. So I'm going to just portion this between my two sort of salsa and rice and beans, and then those are complete. Next up, we're just going to make our Bolognese and our Sri Lankan curry, although I don't know how Sri Lankan my adapted version is. So this is now 2 blocks of tofu. This is the other 2 blocks in meal plan. And just cut them up into sort of small bite-sized pieces. And again, I'm just popping them in the air fryer, plain this time. Again, mine is smoked though. So if you're using a non-smoked version, you may want to put some garlic powder or any other flavouring of your choice on there, but just remember it is going to go in a curry, so try and keep it complementary to that flavour. So again, I'm going to pop this on for about 10 minutes on 200, and that will be going just while we prep the rest of the food. All right, for the curry and the Bolognese, I would just suggest getting everything ready before you start, because it's going to make life so much easier. So in this one, this is a little curry pot, and I've got 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 tablespoon of curry powder, and 1 tablespoon of tomato puree. You'll notice that I've also opened my tin of chopped tomatoes for the Bolognese, half a tin of light coconut milk for the curry, and the tin of lentils, and I've drained them as well, ready for the Bolognese. The other half of the tin of coconut milk I have in a little pot, which I may well freeze. For the Bolognese, I've got this pot on this side, and this contains 1 tablespoon, I can't get my words out, 1 tablespoon tomato puree. It's got a red wine stock cube, half a teaspoon of chili flakes, 1.5 teaspoons of mixed Italian herbs, but absolutely use oregano here if you like, 1 teaspoon of balsamic vinegar and half a teaspoon of Marmite. I also have 25 grams of walnuts that I've blitzed in the food processor as well. So that's really, really good prep. And then the other thing is you need your garlic and onions. Now, I have, I'll chop up my onions in a moment. You need 1 for the curry and 2 for the bolognese. I'm using frozen garlic, chili and ginger because it's just so much easier. So I'm going to pop those into those spice bowls in the correct proportions as well. All right, if you're using frozen like me, then the quantities I've used are about half a tablespoon in the bolognese mix and about 1 tablespoon, of garlic that is, about 1 tablespoon of garlic in the curry mix, about 1 tablespoon of ginger in the curry mix and 1 teaspoon of chili in the curry mix. If you are not using frozen, then just follow the quantities on the recipe. As you can see, I've got my onions chopped. This is the pile of 2 for the bolognese, 1 for the curry. Next up, you just want to get your pans ready. So you just need a saucepan for your bolognese and probably a deep fry pan or saute pan for your curry. Also think about what you'd like to serve with the curry. Now, I'm not cooking the pasta for the bolognese until the night. I'm just going to store the sauce, but if you want to prep the pasta, please go for it. I'm going to use whole wheat spaghetti with mine. And then with the curry, again, you can have it on its own or you can have it with rice or, noodles or anything if you feel like it. So again, I'm not prepping that in advance because I'll decide on the day what I'll have with it. But the point is that the main bit of work is done. Just spray some fry light in your 2 pans and get your respective amounts of onions sauteing. And while you do that, chop up the peppers for the curry and also the coriander for the curry and have your limes. When your onions have been sauteing for about 5 minutes and they're starting to go a little bit brown, then just add your sort of aromatics mix into the respective ones. Make sure you get them the right way around. To the bolognese, add the chopped tomatoes, the walnuts and the lentils. In the curry pot, just saute the spices for 1 minute. You don't really want them to stick. Then add the peppers, saute those for 1 minute. Again, you don't want them to stick. And you may want to turn the heat down a little at this point. The bolognese is going to need to come up to a boil and then sit and simmer for just about 20 minutes. And we need to add the fresh thyme. So you can just turn that up to get it to the boil, but then it's pretty much done. In the curry, we need to add our coconut milk and also the equivalent amount of water, which is another 200 mils, so another half a can. In the bolognese, I forgot to say that I also added 100 mils of water, but this is the old tomato can trick, so just fill up a quarter of it with water and that'll get any residual tomato bits out as well. If you're using fresh thyme in your bolognese mix, then I just chuck the whole stems in and you can easily pick them out at the end, but it makes the leaves fall off. It's so much easier than just shredding down the leaves and trying to get them all off. So yeah, I recommend my lazy way. And the curry we're just going to bring up to a little simmer for a few minutes. So I'm going to turn that back up. Wrong way. And the bolognese I'm going to turn down because mine is now bubbling. So I'm putting it on about half mass. Yeah, so once this comes up to bubbling, I'm going to add in my squash and my tofu and my spinach, and then it's essentially done really. I just need to cook for a couple of minutes just to combine the flavours. On the very home stretch now, so the bolognese is coming together nicely. You can see it's going a bit redder again as opposed to the greyish colour it starts out as, but that's fine. In the original Bosch recipe, which I will say is vastly more complicated than mine and probably will taste a lot better, just a little caveat there. But yeah, they do say that it will look great and then turn a bit redder, so not to worry about that. So that's cool. And then I've added in my, excuse me, my tofu and my butternut squash and my whole bag of spinach, which was 250 grams. If you don't want to use as much spinach as this, then please don't. I just wanted to use the whole bag because I was, well, I just like things with lots of spinach in, but also using it up. All right, after about, I don't know, a few minutes after you've added in the butternut, tofu and spinach to the curry, then, you know, you can call it done. It's going to be good either way. And your bolognese needs probably about 20 minutes on simmer. which it has done. And then when you're ready to sort of portion it out, you can just pick out the sprigs of thyme, and they'll have done their job and released a ton of flavour. Into the curry though, apart from that, the bolognese is finished, by the way. Into the curry, we're going to squeeze, it has to be off the heat, which obviously I've turned the heats off now. So we're going to squeeze in the juice of 2 limes, and we're also going to add about half of the coriander, and then of the remaining half, you can just put it in a pot along with the 3rd lime, cut into 6 wedges, ready for when you serve each day. All right, guys, here's the finished product. So all of our meals ready to go, except for the ones that I've eaten today and will be eating, i.e. dinner, which is the curry, and I'm serving mine today with some rice from a pouch, which is a further 1.5 sins, but it's really convenient. Each day's sin value is totaled in the PDF, but it's day 1, day 2, and day 1, day 3, and day 5 are all at 10 sins, and days 2 and 4 are at 8.5 sins. So you can still use the rest of your sins on whatever you'd like to use. You have used your Healthy Extra B in the breakfast oatmeal cups, but you still have both Healthy Extra A's to use, so you can use those however you see fit. Obviously my sin value calculations are based on my quantities and the brands and things that I've used, so please just double check before you do them, because I don't want to inadvertently scupper your weight loss. So yeah, and that's everything really. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it really helpful. I have put the serving notes in the PDF, but I will say that the Jamaican jerk salad thing, that's good to go. Just squeeze your lime over the top. The potato salad with the barbecue mushrooms, you just need to shred your lettuce when you're going to serve it, or on the morning perhaps if you're still travelling to work at the moment. So just shred your lettuce, and then you can squeeze your little lemon wedges over that. Your curry on those nights, just cook up some rice or noodles, or even pasta if that's what you fancy. Maybe some quinoa, something like that. Anything you like at all can go with it, or you can have it as is. And again, your bolognese, and the curry, as you can see for mine, I've got my 4 lime wedges and my coriander chopped up in a pot ready to go that I'll pop the lid on in a moment, so I'm pretty good to go for that. And then the bolognese, finally, you should have some parsley left, so that's going to be to top your bolognese when you serve it. You'll need to cook your spaghetti on the night, or again, if you wish to cook it now, that's entirely up to you. And you're going to serve it with a green salad, because of course there's not much speed in the bolognese. So you're going to serve it with a nice green salad. I literally have a whole bag of salad per serving. I like my greens, but you can do whichever salad you like best. It is not a hard and fast plan. You can adapt it to suit your needs. And finally, I'd just like to say that I did adapt the lunch and dinner recipes from the Healthy Bosch book. I've simplified them. I've taken out a lot of oil, or not a lot of oil because I didn't have loads in, but I've taken out some oil, and obviously I've sort of tweaked around with the amounts to make them a little easier to sin, and a little friendlier on the sin values as well. The breakfast cups are a recipe that I made up. Essentially, I looked at about 4 or 5 different recipes on the internet, and then I just came up with my own values. I was extremely lucky they turned out well, because this is the first time I've made those particular ones, so I'm really pleased with them. They are absolutely exactly what I wanted, so I'm definitely going to make those again, probably with variations. Anyway, that's all from me. I've actually already cleared up my kitchen. The only thing I need to do now is go eat my dinner and take my recycling out. I hope you enjoyed this meal plan, and please do consider subscribing to the channel if you'd like to see more content. I do post daily with what I eat in a day and vlog, but occasionally I want to start doing these meal plan videos again, because I do enjoy doing them for you guys and I find them really helpful. All right, speak to you soon. Bye.